Chapter 907. Encirclement and Killing of Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi felt a little relieved when he saw Lao Tian. It seemed that nothing happened to the people on the boat, but there might be other dangers around the island. Did anything happen during the day I was away? Zhang Yi asked. Lao Tian shook his head. Nothing happened. Everyone is waiting for you, Mr. Zhang, to come back. As he said that, Lao Tian stretched out his hand into the cave and said, Come in and have a rest. Zhang Yi nodded and followed Lao Tian into the cave. But as soon as he entered, he immediately found that something was wrong. There were fewer people in the cave. Zhu Yonk and some crew members disappeared. The next moment, a violent explosion sounded from the cave. Zhang Yi suddenly came back to his senses, and in front of him was Lao Tian's attentive smile, stretching out his hand to signal him to enter the cave. Zhang Yi's eyes slowly darkened. If it weren't for the ability of time echo, the sudden attack just now would have killed him if he didn't react in time. As his mind raced, Zhang Yi figured out a lot of things. Lao Tian and the others could not betray him because they were not stupid enough to use him as bait and die with him. Zhu Yonk and others also disappeared. This means that after he left yesterday, other people on the island had left. Not only did they take Zhu Yonk away, but they also set up this trap and waited for him to enter. As for Lao Tian and the others, they were probably controlled by some ability. Now Lao Tian in front of him is just a puppet. Lao Tian still smiled. Mr. Zhang, please come in. Zhang Yi looked at Lao Tian and nodded with a smile. Okay, let's go in. Not long after, a violent explosion was heard in the cave. The flames shot up to the sky, and the power exerted by more than a dozen tons of explosives in a closed environment was extremely amazing. The mountainside was blown to pieces, and the soil and rocks flew everywhere. A few kilometers away, a warship slowly approached. Guna held a telescope in her hand, looking at the violent explosion on the island, with a smug smile on her lips. Success. Even a top-level Delta-class enhanced mutant would have a hard time surviving after withstanding the power of dozens of tons of explosives. That guy, even if he doesn't die, will lose most of his life. She waved to her pirates and ordered them to go ashore for inspection. The black thieves howled and rushed to Luoyan Island in a small boat. But a few minutes later, their short screams came from the communicator. Guna's face did not show too much surprise. Instead, a happy smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Is he still alive? She didn't expect that this method could really kill the top mutant codenamed Chaos in the Jiangnan district. But so what? Now, the first team has set up a net around Luoyan Island. He will definitely die this time. Suddenly, something flashed in front of Guna's eyes. This fleeting thing became extremely slow in front of her eyes. When she saw it clearly, a fanatical fighting spirit flashed in her eyes. It was a person, a man from Huashu country. Zhang Yi came through the air, aiming directly at Guna on the boat. Guna pulled out the strange and huge sniper rifle from her back and aimed it at the air. Zhang Yi once again space shuttle, and it only took 2 seconds for him to reach the boat where Guna was. But the moment he appeared, a bullet came to him accurately. Buzz. Zhang Yi seemed to see the space in front of him fluctuate like water. It was the distortion of light caused by powerful energy, which gave people an illusion of space distortion. Guna's speed was amazing, and she was able to capture the moment when Zhang Yi was in midair. However, the bullet still sank into the alien space and did not hurt Zhang Yi at all. Guna suddenly lifted the felt hat on her head, revealing a hideous and terrifying appearance. On her head, there were hundreds of eyes like a dragonfly, densely distributed on both sides of her head. Compound eyes. With such an ability, she has a super dynamic vision ability. In front of her eyes, ordinary people move as fast as slow motion. She raised the gun again, still aiming at Zhang Yi in midair. Although her attack was swallowed by Zhang Yi's space again. But in this way, Zhang Yi could not use the ability of Space Shuttle to quickly approach. Do you think I can't kill you like this? Zhang Yi raised his hands horizontally and accelerated 30 times. 2 white owls fired origin bullets, pointing directly at Guna's head. Guna's pupils shrank suddenly. In her vision, the speed of the bullets was still so fast that it was blurred. Seeing that she could not avoid Zhang Yi's shooting, she was going to die in the northwest. At this time, a splash suddenly rose in the sea water on the side. Dozens of thick tentacles came from it, stretched out from the sea water and blocked Guna. Puff, puff, puff. More than a dozen tentacles were directly penetrated by the origin bullet. However, the tentacle's toughness was beyond ordinary people's imagination. It still blocked the origin bullet shot by Zhang Yi and saved Guna's life. The tentacles wrapped a black shadow and landed on the boat. It was a dark-skinned, strong man. His strong body was not tall, but very strong. His naked upper body looked like it was forged from black iron. What people care about most is his dreadlocks and dozens of octopus arms extending from the ends of his arms. Be careful, Guna. He is the top combat force in the Jiangnan region. Naruga, the first mate of the first team, said to Guna. Orc-type ability user, marine species, ability code name, octopus plundering. At this time on Yenlu Island, Lao Tian and others fainted, but they were lying intact in the deep pit after the explosion. Although the explosion looked scary. But once Zhang Yi was prepared, it was not a problem at all. As soon as he entered the cave, he used the two-world knot to wrap everyone in the cave, isolating the power of the explosion. Although those people seemed to be controlled and tried to attack Zhang Yi, it was very easy for Zhang Yi to make them lose their ability to move. He knew that he was trapped in a trap. However, he still planned to meet the planner to decide whether to abandon everyone and leave, or to make a final attempt to save these people. However, when he saw that the people who came were not from the Columbia Navy, but pirates from the Starry Sea, Zhang Yi's heart began to laugh. The worst result is that Zhu Yonk was caught, and the information about Zhang Yi had been learned by the other party. However, Zhang Yi's personal information is the core secret of Blizzard City. With Zhu Zheng's style of doing things, it is impossible to allow a rookie like Zhu Yonk to obtain it. What's more, Blizzard City does not fully know Zhang Yi's real core secrets. Judging from the fact that the two aliens in front of him dared to challenge him head-on, Zhang Yi knew very well that these guys did not understand their situation at all at this time. Chapter 908 Invalid Threat, +2. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes, and he also put away the white owl in his hand. A cyberpunk-style sword appeared in his hand. But just as he was about to kill the two ignorant pirates in front of him, a voice suddenly sounded from a distance. You are the chaos of the Jiangnan district, right? You are worthy of being the best among the captains of Jiangnan, and your strength is extraordinary. But now, you'd better not act rashly. Otherwise, you will see this woman's head move. Zhang Yi looked at the source of the voice. In fact, he had already sensed the existence of the ship. It was a steel warship, the style was a bit old, and it was a model that was about to be retired in Huaxiu. However, among the many small countries in the southern seas, it was a very powerful and popular item. Naruto, the captain of the first squadron of the Tianlong pirates, was sitting on the main gun with his legs crossed and his hands on his chest. In his hand was an iron chain, and the other end of the chain was tied around Zhu Yonk's neck. At this time, Zhu Yonk was lying on the deck like a dead dog, with a dying breath and a dull look in his eyes, looking like he had been played with. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. He could feel that the strength of the man in front of him must be extraordinary. There are not many people who can call out his code name and still behave so calmly. Are you the Celestial Dragon King? Zhang Yi did not look at Zhu Yonk either. Although he promised Lao Zhu to protect her, showing excessive concern at this time would only make him feel constrained. At worst, Zhu Yonk really died, and Zhang Yi would say sorry to Zhu Zheng at that time. I think he has apologized, and Zhu Zheng is embarrassed to blame him. Nero shook his head. No, no, no. Although you are famous, you are not worthy of the Dragon King to take action personally. Let me, Nero, the captain of the first team of the Celestial Dragon Pirates, come and experience your strength. As he said, he stretched out his hand and pulled the chain on Zhu Yonk's neck. However, I advise you not to act rashly. Otherwise, Miss Zhu will die. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes. You bastard, are you threatening me? Nero laughed and said sinisterly, I am threatening you, so what? As the captain of the Jiangnan region, you should understand the consequences of protecting the eldest lady of the commander's family. Zhang Yi turned the holy judgment in his hand slightly and sneered in his heart. He was more and more certain of one thing. This group of pirates had only a superficial understanding of his intelligence. Otherwise, they would not be stupid enough to say such a thing. As soon as Nero finished speaking, the first mate Naruga jumped from the warship like a cannonball and rushed towards Zhang Yi. He actually ran towards Zhang Yi at a high speed on the water, as if he were walking on flat ground, and huge waves splashed at the landing point under his feet. The man was still dozens of meters away, and his arms suddenly stretched out towards Zhang Yi. In an instant, dozens of huge octopus arms rushed towards Zhang Yi like spikes. Zhang Yi swung the knife with his right hand, and the black void power entangled on the blade. With one knife, the void power turned into a long snake, directly cutting off the dozens of arms neatly. Naruga's eyes flashed with disbelief. As a sea beast species, his tentacles are very tough and have extremely high defensive capabilities. But when Zhang Yi cut his tentacles, it was as easy as cutting tofu. Naruga didn't dare to be arrogant and plunged directly into the ocean. After a moment, a wave more than 10 meters high was raised and smashed towards Zhang Yi. At the same time, Guna in the distance also raised the sniper rifle in her hand and attacked Zhang Yi. With dynamic vision, she can easily lock Zhang Yi's position. And the bullets fired by her weird sniper rifle are also very strange. They are a white bone-like bullet with strong penetrating power. Orc-type ability user, sea beast species, insect mother, Guna. Her bullets are sea worms bred by herself. Not only does it have a strong killing power, but as long as it breaks the epidermis, it can immediately enter the human body through the blood, thus turning the prey into her puppet. Guna and Naruga, one far away and one close, cooperated very well. As the two lieutenants of the strongest team of the Tianlong pirates, both of them have a supernatural power index of about 8,000 points and are extremely powerful aliens. Unfortunately, today they misjudged their opponents. The two's attack methods are very good, but they can hardly pose any threat to Zhang Yi, who is known as the absolute defense. He just flashed and rushed to a height of hundreds of meters. Naruga and Guna's attacks all missed. The next moment, Zhang Yi dived headfirst, and the holy judge in his right hand burned with a blazing flame of the void. Dozens of tentacles pierced Zhang Yi from the depths of the ocean. Zhang Yi did not avoid it at all, allowing those tentacles to pierce into his alien space. Attacks on the physical level are almost useless to him. Water repellent. The man fell to the surface of the sea and directly used the new ability he had learned from the fight with the fin dragon. Fill the space with seawater, and you can move freely underwater. From then on, the deep sea will no longer be. Then there was Zhang Yi's weakness. He entered the water, the blade swept across, and the huge black flame was like a crescent moon, aiming at Naruga in the sea water and slashing out. Naruga's pupils shrank suddenly. He didn't expect that the other party, who was obviously a space-based alien, could dive into the seabed to fight him. But he had no time to escape. The huge black flame turned into a huge blade. It was a very large blade, so large that he couldn't escape the range of its blade. Boom! The huge sound did not come from the explosion, but the sound of the sea water rushing down from the surface of the water at a high speed. The power of the void can devour everything, including seawater. At the same time, there is Naruga's body. With just one move, this pirate master with an ability index of 8,200 points was split into two by Zhang Yi. In line with the principle of not wasting, Zhang Yi did not split his head, but only beheaded it. Then he grabbed Naruga's head and rushed out of the sea. Seeing Naruga being killed instantly, Guna and Narut were all shocked. They knew that Zhang Yi was very strong, but they did not expect that the aliens on land would have such a powerful force on the sea. Naruga had fought against captain-level figures in the ocean. Although he was defeated, he was able to save his life. Of course, this was also related to the fact that the opponent's ability was not easy to play on the sea. In fact, Nero's idea was not wrong. If it was before Zhang Yi went to sea, he would be helpless if he rashly encountered an enemy like Naruga. But he had been fighting with the Fin dragon on the sea for too long and had gained rich experience in naval battles. Nero felt something was wrong. He stepped on Zhu Yang's back and lifted the chain that bound her with force, so that her neck was lifted up violently, and she rolled her eyes due to suffocation. Chaos. Are you really not afraid that I will kill this woman? You dare to resist. Zhang Yi looked at him with emotionless eyes and said coldly, even if she died, it was you who killed her. What does it have to do with me? Chapter 909, weighing the pros and cons. If Zhu Yang died, Zhu Zheng would have some opinions about Zhang Yi. Even if he didn't say it, this emotion would not disappear. However, that was not a problem Zhang Yi needed to consider at all. He was able to survive in the apocalypse until now, not relying on anyone's care. If it weren't for his own strong strength, Zhu Zheng would have used him as cannon fodder and died countless times. And even if Zhu Yang died here today, as long as Zhu Zheng needed Zhang Yi's help, he would still be polite to him. Zhang Yi thought very clearly. After killing Naruga, he immediately set out to kill Guna. In a battle of this level, Naruto did not send out other pirates, because no matter how many ordinary pirates came, they would just die. Zhang Yi killed Guna, and the next step was to kill Naruto. The head of the captain of the first team of the Tianlong pirates is worth a lot of bounty. Zhang Yi licked his lips, and your origin must be very delicious. Naruto dared to come to encircle him. He must have the strength of a captain. Nowadays, only the captain-level origin is valuable to Zhang Yi. Since the other party took the initiative to deliver it to his door, of course, he would not be polite. At this time, Guna began to panic. And Naruto did not expect that Zhang Yi did not take Zhu Yang seriously at all. Guna faced Zhang Yi, who attacked her, and used the shooting ability of dynamic vision to interfere with Zhang Yi's space shuttle. At the same time, she opened her mouth, and her throat moved a few times as if she was regurgitating, and she actually vomited a lot of white worms from her stomach. Those worms were in the shape of shuttles, and they actually flew towards Zhang Yi out of thin air. A large area of white flowers interfered with Zhang Yi's vision. He swung the sword in his hand, and the flame of the void swept away the worms in front of him. Guna had already dived into the water and didn't know where to go. At this moment, Naruto realized that things were a little out of control, and he was determined to use the last ruthless trick. He grabbed Zhu Yang's head and lifted her up. Then Naruto yelled at Zhang Yi, "Chaos. Since you don't care about the life or death of this woman, then just watch her die." After Naruto finished speaking, he stretched out his hand and threw Zhu Yang towards a pirate ship in the distance. Naruto's action made Zhang Yi hesitate for a moment. Originally, he killed Zhu Yang, and Zhang Yi had no scruples. But now Zhu Yang has a chance to be saved. Zhang Yi needs to weigh the pros and cons. There is no need to leave a thorn in Zhu Zheng's heart. Even now, Zhu Zheng will say that he understands Zhang Yi and will not settle accounts later. But no one can guarantee what will happen in the future. Zhang Yi didn't have much time to think. He turned around and shuttled through several spaces to the pirate ship. Just as he reached out to pick up Zhu Yang, a sense of crisis came as expected. Zhang Yi was not surprised at all. Time Echo would anticipate the upcoming crisis and give a warning. He had seen what it was. Naruto's warship launched a heavy torpedo, and the cabin was full of explosives. The moment Zhang Yi's hand touched Zhu Yang, he opened the two-world separation. Almost at the same time, a violent explosion occurred on the sea. The worst-case scenario is that when the two-world separation is unfolded, it is impossible to use Space Shuttle to escape. The explosion will last for quite a long time, and he can only use the alien space to absorb the power of the explosion. Nero stood on the main gun of the battleship, staring at the center of the raging explosion with a sinister look. Even if you are strong, it won't be so comfortable to have an extra burden and endure 2 rounds of explosions. Although Zhu Yang knew that Zhang Yi's ability was limited, after all, the two had been together for several months and knew some of his intelligence. Under Nero's electric torture, she had already confessed everything. This young lady is more spineless than you think. Therefore, even though Nero knew that Zhang Yi was very strong, he still thought that he had a great chance of winning. Even from the data, Zhang Yi's ability index was several hundred points higher than his. However, the real practical factions sneered at the so-called ability index. When facing the enemy, the influencing factors are more important than the ability index itself. The right time, right place, and right people are all on his side. How can he lose? However, there is one thing that Nero does not know. Looking at the entire Jiangnan region, Zhang Yi is the most unique one. Other aliens are trying to improve their ability strength so that they can defeat their opponents more quickly. Only Zhang Yi is not so interested in defeating others, but is obsessed with how to survive. This also led to the strange news that the ability index is 9,700 points, the attack index is 9,400 points, and the defense index can reach 12,000 points. Nero has never seen such a surviving alien, especially an alien who is so powerful. The world of pirates is full of lunatics who are born warriors. So, when Zhang Yi carried Zhu Yonk from hundreds of tons of TNT equivalent when he flew out of the explosion unscathed, his eyes changed. Zhang Yi carried the dead Zhu Yonk back to Luoyan Island. But now he did not relax. The 2 rounds of explosions just now also had a great impact on his alien space. And he still needs to face a Narod in his prime. So far, Zhang Yi is still unclear about Narod's specific abilities and ability index. However, the official Jiangnan district once had intelligence about the Dragon King, showing that his ability value was as high as 9,800 points. As the captain of the squad, Narod's maximum could not exceed 9,500 points, which is lower than Zhang Yi's current 9,700 points. In addition, Zhang Yi is better at defense. At this time, Zhang Yi weighed it and thought he was still in an advantageous position. Although the chance of winning is only 95%, it can still be fought. Zhang Yi thinks that Narod's ability index is around 9,500 points. In fact, Narod's ability index is only 9,300 points. But Narod thought that Zhang Yi's ability index was around 9,500, and he had taken the initiative on the battlefield with the advantages of terrain and first move. One of them was crazy, and the other was steady, so although the difference in ability index was too large, a strange stalemate occurred. Narod decided to take the initiative. Zhang Yi was holding a red skylark in his hand. Narod thought that it would make Zhang Yi afraid to act rashly, and it would become a burden to Zhang Yi. It was just the right time to attack. "Guna!" Narod shouted. In the seawater, Guna's face slowly floated up, and she turned into her original appearance. It was a strange insect, with a crustacean with hundreds of legs in the lower body and a human body in the upper body. With hundreds of compound eyes on her head, it looked extremely strange and creepy. The sniper rifle in her hand was part of her body, connected to her insect nest, and aimed at Zhang Yi in the air. Under the cover of a powerful sniper, Zhang Yi needed to deploy the two-world not for defense. Therefore, his space jump skill was forced to be blocked. And this is exactly the effect he wanted. Chapter 9-10 Thunder God Jellyfish. If we can kill the captain-level alien, Chaos, in the Jiangnan region here, Lord Dragon King will be very happy. It can also give a warning to those bugs that have recently disturbed the order of the Starry Sea. Narod's body sank slightly, and then the whole person soared into the sky like a cannonball. Zhang Yi's attention needs to be divided. In his left hand, he held the half-dead Zhu Yonk, who he had saved with great difficulty, and he couldn't let go of it. Otherwise, it would be a problem if it was snatched away by pirates. In addition, he had to take care of Guna's sniper rifle and Narod at the same time. However, Narod's action still attracted Zhang Yi's attention. A pirate chose to fly. How was he going to attack? Zhang Yi raised his head slightly. Although the white sun in the sky was not very warm, it had a slightly dazzling light. Suddenly, Narod disappeared from Zhang Yi's eyes. His shadow became dull, and Zhang Yi couldn't see him, but the vision in front of him suddenly became a little dim. It was as if the sky was covered with a thin layer of transparent gauze. The next moment, Zhang Yi knew what it was. A huge, extremely huge, Huge and transparent thing fell from the sky like a fishing net and then completely covered the entire area where Zhang Yi was. But it was not a fishing net. Zhang Yi had never heard of the ability of an alien to turn into a tool. It was a huge, transparent, soft body that quickly turned into a ball in the air and then completely wrapped up Zhang Yi and Zhu Yonk as if they were locked in a fish tank. Tianlong Pirates, the captain of the first team, an orc-type ability user. Ability code: Thor Jellyfish. The area covered by the giant jellyfish was as large as a small island.
It was indeed a mollusk.
The area covered by it was really amazing. And after wrapping Zhang Yi up, violent electric currents began to emerge from the entire body of the Thor jellyfish. Zhang Yi's eyes condensed, and he already knew what kind of means Nero was going to use. At this time, he could not use Space Shuttle to escape, because a high-level Delta-level sniper was aiming at him. As long as he appeared in the outside world, there was a possibility of being hit. However, using the two realms junction to resist such an attack would cause the energy load to be excessive, resulting in the risk of the defense being penetrated. Obviously, the opponent had learned some of his abilities and had formulated a tactic. Boom! Nero would not give Zhang Yi a chance to think. Huge currents began to gather from all directions, and then launched an indiscriminate condensation attack on Zhang Yi inside his body. A dazzling white light bloomed in the air, almost blinding people. That kind of powerful current must have a high voltage of millions of volts. Zhang Yi turned on the anti-glare function of the combat suit. In an instant, he had made a decision in his heart. Void Cage. The holy judge waved his right hand, and the surging void power was released from the tip of the knife, and then turned into a large void curtain wall, quickly wrapping up Zhang Yi and Zhu Yonk. Thunder and lightning flashed inside the Thor jellyfish, and the dazzling white lightning caused the surrounding dozens of miles to become transparent, like a huge supernova explosion. However, the roar of thunder and lightning lasted only a moment before dissipating. The black void curtain wall around Zhang Yi slowly disappeared, but he and Zhu Yonk were unharmed. Zhang Yi's power came from the void, which could devour the matter that existed in reality. In principle, it was a complete nothingness. Using the power of the void to form a barrier would form a natural vacuum zone between Zhang Yi and the Thor jellyfish. Without air as a medium, even if the current intensity released by Nero was high, it could not hurt Zhang Yi at all. A dull voice sounded around Zhang Yi. Oh, sure enough, there are some tricks. Can you block this moves? After the voice fell, Zhang Yi's ears keenly caught a sound similar to the wriggling of mucus. He raised his head slightly, and the soft bodies of jellyfish were all over his head. On the ceiling of the jellyfish, a layer of sticky, translucent liquid appeared, precipitated from the body of the jellyfish. The next moment, the translucent mucus fell down like rain. Zhang Yi unfolded the two-world knot. After these liquids fell into the barrier, Zhang Yi discovered that this was a liquid with terrible corrosiveness. But this discovery did not scare Zhang Yi, but instead a smile appeared on his face. Because judging from the strength of this corrosion, even if his space was full, it would take a long time for the corrosion to penetrate. Is that all you can do? I overestimated you. Zhang Yi already understood Nero's attack method. He decided not to defend blindly, but to start a counterattack. The torpedo launcher in his right hand was aimed at the side, and with the help of his supernatural power, he directly launched 10 torpedoes.
Boom. Boom. Boom.
Boom. The torpedoes detonated violent vibrations on the jellyfish wall, but after a burst of fireworks, Zhang Yi was shocked to find that the body of the Thor jellyfish was just violently twisted, and then the energy of the explosion was dissolved. The defense of the mollusk is not weak either. Nero said sarcastically, "You are not the only one who is good at defense." As soon as he finished speaking, the huge jellyfish body suddenly landed in the sea. The sea is his real home. He wanted to drag Zhang Yi into the deep sea. Zhang Yi sneered, "What's the point? You are too proud, aren't you? Since the torpedo doesn't work, let's try with a knife." The black flame wrapped around the holy judgment, and it violently soared into the sky. The black flames spiraled up and turned into a sharp cone, piercing the body of the Thor jellyfish. The body of the Thor jellyfish was lifted up high, and it actually extended hundreds of meters in length. Puff. In the end, the thick layer of soft body was pierced by the void flame like a balloon. But Zhang Yi did not have any happy expression, but frowned instead. The gap that was penetrated was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The soft creatures nearby quickly rushed over and filled the wound. Naruga mocked Zhang Yi in a presumptuous voice. Although I know you are strong, this is the sea, my home turf. I can't be killed here. Zhang Yi grew up in Tianhai City and often ate seafood. Of course, he knew how difficult this kind of mollusk was. Without a heart or a brain, it can be said that this thing has no vital points. In addition, the Thor jellyfish that Naruga incarnated was huge enough that no matter how Zhang Yi attacked, he could not completely kill it. However, this ability also requires a sufficient price. Aliens like Naruga cannot go ashore, otherwise his combat effectiveness is not even as good as that of a deputy captain. However, this price is exchanged for absolute strength and difficulty on the sea. Dear viewers, this game and video is not over yet. I will be uploading many videos today. Stay tuned. Please subscribe if not already. Thanks.